5:36, about time to get started. How is everyone feeling today? Feeling good? All right. Did anyone have a super awesome weekend? I did. I got to climb things.
I also did.
All right. Summer had a super awesome weekend. Good job, Summer.
Thank you, thank you.
The rest of you got to work on your weekends. All right. So this week will be what we call a deload week when it comes to high-end training. So a deload week basically means that we're going to cut down the volume of work. So you're not going to do as much as we typically would be. We're going to still try to keep the intensity kind of higher, but we're just cutting the repetitions and the sets on the circuit down by half. And then we're going to replace that with more mobility work and stretching. And so this is an opportunity for your body to kind of rest and recover after doing several hard, intensive weeks of training. And so that's where we're at with the program. So we'll do this for a week, and then we'll transition next to the next phase of training, which we were just doing the pulse plyometrics. So probably we're going to switch it over to kind of a slower strength building training regimen after this. All right. So who is ready to work out today? Does anyone have any aches or sorenesses I should wear up? All right, good. So in today's workout, we're going to be focusing in on the deadlift for our circuit. That's going to be more of a mobility exercise as well. So we want kind of a moderate weight today. We're going to be doing floor or table scrubbers for everybody. So hit the core, work on an anti-rotation and pulling through your upper body. We're going to be doing a squat or hinge rotation. We'll get into that one. This is a combination strength and mobility exercise. We're going to get into some side planks, stimulate your core some. Going into those single arm swings. This is one that's going to get interesting for us. We haven't done swings in a while, so we'll review this and then make sure to let me know if you have any issues that we need to troubleshoot. And like I said, we're going to stretch quite a bit today. All right. Any questions on what we're up to today? All right. Well, let's get warmed up a bit here and we'll get started. If you're going to be working out primarily in standing, start in standing. If you're working out primarily in sitting, start in sitting. Okay. So let's start off by practicing our belly breathing. Put one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest. Take easeful inhales and exhales. As you inhale, you want your belly to rise before your chest. And when you exhale, let everything drop. Inhale, belly rises before your chest. Focusing in on that smooth, controlled breathing. And it should feel relaxing as you're doing this. It taps into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest side of your nervous system. All right, take a couple more breaths here. Focus in on that breathing. And next, we're going to start to gently side bend your head and neck to the side, like you're trying to touch your ear to your shoulder, going left and right. You might get little cracks and pops, that's okay. Might even feel good. Get those gentle stretches in, and like we always say, you're not trying to tear your head off, you're just trying to get a little stretch. Good. And then start to rotate your head left and right. Gentle turns, get a little stretch at those end points. All right, and then we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. We're going to roll our shoulders to the front and then slide them up towards your ear. roll your shoulders to the back, squeezing your shoulder blades together, and then slide your arms down your sides. And then as they get to the bottom, roll them back to the front, slide your shoulders up towards your ears, and then roll them back. Continue with this circular motion. I always start warming up the head and neck here. It's really important to keep this loose and supple, especially for those of us who are working in front of a computer all day. Really can be helpful. Make sure we take care of this part of our body. Regardless of if we're doing a leg day, an upper body day, a full body day. One more shrug in this direction. And now we're going to reverse it. So now you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together at the bottom, slide your shoulder blades up the back of your rib cage towards your ears, and when they're at the top, roll your shoulders forward, and then slide your arms down the front of your body, and then pinch your shoulder blades together at the bottom, slide them up your rib cage towards your ears, and then roll them to the front. Continue with this circular motion. We're now going in the opposite direction that we did before. Again, easeful breathing. All right. And then next, we're going to start to get the legs and arms involved. So if we're in a sitting, we're going to hinge forward, arms are towards the ground, and then we're going to bring the arms up overhead, palms wide, fingers wide. Bring your arms down by your sides, and then as you hinge, bring your arms down, you hinge back forward. For those of us who are standing, you're going to do a little squat here. Arms are down to the ground, you're going to squat, stand up, arms come to the front, and as they come down the side, you're going to squat back down. There you go. With this motion, take up as much space as you can. Use the largest range of motion that you have available to you. So if you have a small range of motion, use a small range of motion, but use what you have. If you have access to your full range of motion, by all means, use it. Get a little stretch, opening wide, spread through your palm, and then reverse it. So now, you're going to bring your arms up the side as you stand up or hinge up, and you're going to bring them down the front as you squat down or hinge down. Good, a couple more. All right, and next we're going to do little circles. Now we're taking your arms around, spreading the fingers wide. And as you bring your arms down to the ground, you're hinging or squatting down. As your arms come up, you're hinging or squatting up. As your arms come down to the ground, you get low. As your arms come up, you get up high. Take up as much space as you can. Reach through those fingertips. And then reverse it. Go the other way. So if you were going clockwise before, now you're going counterclockwise.
Guys.
Keep going. Go around those big circles. Take up space. All right. And then next we're going to do little twists. You're in a chair. You're going to reach your arms around you, around shoulder height. Standing, arms are around shoulder height, applying this twist. So I'm going to move a little bit more vigorously. But again, move in the degree that feels good in your body. Next, we're going to get into a crouch position with your hands in front, kind of like you're putting your dukes up if you're boxing. And then from here, you're going to get into a squat or a hinge forward, and then you're going to come out to the side, stand up or hinge up, open up your palms, and then come back into the squat of the crouch, and then reach out to the other side, side reaches. Reaching out as far as you can, doing the squat, or if you're in a chair, you're hinging forward, and then as you come up, you reach out to the side. Reach, extend through those fingertips as far as you can. As you do that, you might notice a little bit more muscles turning on. Reach, just don't fall out of your chair. Extend to the very tips of your fingers. Couple more. Keep it going. All right, next we're gonna do some jumping jacks. So hopping in place, arms come up overhead by the sides, and your feet hop apart and together. Now, if the hopping part of the jumping jack doesn't feel good, you can simply just move your hands up over your head and quickly back down. And we can do that for both standing athletes and seated athletes. So you're starting to move quick. Good, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Next we're gonna do a split jack. Arms come across your body horizontally. You're opening up your arms as wide as you can, and then you're hugging yourself across your shoulders. Alternate the top arm. If you're adding the hop, we're in a split stance, so one foot's in front of the other, and then you hop, alternating the front foot. If the hopping doesn't feel good, we're simply doing back slappers. Again, alternating the top arm, and you can do this in standing or in seated. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. All right. How are we doing, you guys? Good? All right, so we're gonna go through the circuit, and then we're gonna get into the circuit for 2 rounds, and then we're gonna stretch out a lot today. All right? So first thing on the circuit here is a deadlift. We haven't done the strict deadlift in a while, so we're gonna review that quite a bit today. So with the deadlift, if you're using a backpack, you're gonna be holding on by the shoulder straps. If you got any other kind of weight, that's totally fine. Use whatever you got, whatever you prefer to use. So for the deadlift, we're essentially picking the weight up off the ground, standing up with it, and then putting it back down. But we do what's called a hip hinge. So we're trying to get into this shape where our hips are bending, our knees are just slightly bent, and we're keeping our spine in neutral as best as we can. Okay, so again, what that hip hinge looks like, I'm pushing my butt back as my chest comes forward. My chest is wide, which helps keep my spine in a neutral position, and it should look pretty flat in my back. All right, and I'm reaching down, grabbing hold of the straps of the backpack, keeping my shoulders pinned together, and then from there, I stand up, pushing my hips forward, keep my shoulders rolled back, and then as I stand, lower the weight down, I hinge, pushing my butt back, and then my shoulders come forward. My knees don't bend very much at all. So this is how we're gonna do this for our standing athletes. Now, if you're having issues with balance, we can get rid of the weight and just work on the hip hinge. Put your arms on a stable surface, and then you're gonna have a little bend in your hips and knees. And from here, you're gonna push your butt straight back. And imagine like you're trying to touch your forehead to the table here. Push your butt back, touch your forehead to the table, and then come back up, pushing forward with your hips. And then if this feels good, maybe you can start to add a little weight to it. Hold on to the bag with one arm. The key thing is you gotta keep your back flat. You wanna feel this all in your hips. Feeling your low back, you gotta pick something. For our seated athletes, we're gonna do it deadlift from the chair. So you're gonna hinge forward. You might need to support yourself with your arms to get into this position. And then from here, you go grab the object, pull it up into your lap and sit on up. And then you put it back down and then back up. Now, it just depends on how much core control you have. So, again, from the side view, we're hinging down as best we can, wide chest, which helps keep that neutral spine. If you need, you support yourself with your arms to maintain that position. Get in position, grab hold of your weight. And if you have the core strength to just pull straight up, do that. If you need to pull initially to your lap, do that, and then sit up the rest of the way. All right. Any questions on the deadlift? I hope I covered that one very thoroughly. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next exercise here. Next one is the floor/table scrubber. The floor scrubber is for our athletes who feel comfortable getting onto the ground. Seated athletes, you don't necessarily have to transfer onto the ground for this because you can do pretty much this whole workout in sitting. But if you feel up for it, you can go for it. It's just going to be a transition. You're going to have to transition to the floor and then transition back into the chair. So you got to feel comfortable transitioning quick if you're going to do it on the floor. So this is where we're going to need that towel that I mentioned before. So for those of us doing this on the floor, you're going to put the towel on the ground, put your backpack or whatever weight you're using on top of the towel. You're going to lie down on your stomach. Grab hold of both ends of the towel, and then you're going to pull that weight from one side to the other. And from side to side. The heavier the weight and the more the friction is on the ground, the harder this is going to be. So if you're on hardwood floor like I'm on, you're going to need a lot more weight to make it harder. But if you're on carpet, that might add a lot of friction and make it harder. So play around with the resistance. For seated athletes, we're going to do this on a table. You're going to take your towel, put it on the table. It doesn't have to necessarily be a table. It's anything that's elevated that you can access from your chair. All right. You roll up to the table, grab hold, put your weight on top of the towel, grab hold of both ends, and then you slide that towel from one side to the other, going side to side. All right. And again, you play around with the resistance and the friction of the surface to make this easier or harder. All right. Any questions on the table or floor scrubbers? We good on those? All right. Let's keep on going here. All right. Rachel, did you have any questions on the scrubber? Did you get that figured out? You good? Okay, good. All right, let's continue on. Squat or hinge rotation. So, squat rotation. For our standing athletes, what you're gonna do is we're gonna get into a deep squat. You're gonna put both hands on the ground and then rotate up. Put the hand down and then rotate the other arm up towards the ceiling. And then stand up. And then you squat back down. So here I'm rotating my right arm up towards the ceiling in the squat position. Rotate the left arm up to the ceiling. And then stand back up. If you need some assistance with the squat, you can put your hands on a table, squat down as low as you can, and then from here, rotate up with the right arm, rotate up with the left arm, still holding on to the table for some assistance. And what this does is it works with rotation and core control in your spine. For our seated athletes, what you're gonna do is you're gonna hinge forward. Now you have an option here of doing this completely in your chair or maybe leaning up against a stable surface. So I'm gonna demonstrate both. So you're gonna lean forward. You support yourself on your forearms here, on top of your legs. And then from here, you're going to keep engaged with your stand time and you're gonna rotate up as far as you can, back down, and then rotate the other way. Reaching your fingertips towards the ceiling. For those of you where maybe that's a little bit not quite in your ballpark, you can find a stable surface, so a table here, get close to the table, and then hinge over on top of it. And then the further you are away from it, the harder this is going to be. So what I'm doing here is the further I am, the more I'm hinging forward. And from here, now you rotate around. So this is going to look very similar to our rotation planks that we've done before. There you go. And you just rotate side to side. All right. Any questions on the squat or hinge rotation? Yes, Summer.
Sorry, Spencer just stepped in and I totally missed it. For the standing squat rotation, can you show that one more time, please?
Yeah, for sure. So standing squat rotation. Get it deep into your squat. Palms down right behind the
Hold on.
right arm up. Foot fingers towards the ceiling. Palms back down. Rotate my left arm back up toward the ceiling. And back down. Try to keep your hips low.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Moving on. The next is going to be the side plank. So for those of us who feel comfortable getting onto the ground, this is going to be a point to get onto the ground. And then from here, we're going to work the side plank variations, popping up on one elbow. So here I'm on my left forearm, and I keep my shoulders rolled back, hips push forward. This helps optimize my core engagement. And key thing here is breathing with your belly. All right, and we can take all kinds of variations of the side plank. So here I'm on my feet. We can do a side plank from the knees. We can do a side plank from the hips. We can do a side plank on a bolster. You can place that bolster high up on your torso to make it easier, or down low on your hips to make it harder. Performing the side plank here. And make sure that you're really engaged in your stance arm the entire time. For those of us who maybe don't feel comfortable getting down onto the ground, you can do the side plank leaning up against a wall or a table. And for those of us in sitting, who are maybe transferring to the ground is not practical for you, you're going to roll up against a stable surface, so this table here. You're going to lean out to the side into your base of support, and then figure out where that sweet spot is, where now you really have to engage to hold yourself up without not lose your balance. And then engage through your shoulder, engage through your core, and then breathe. Don't fall out of your chair. All right. Any questions on the side plank? We good on those? All right, let's keep moving here. All right, last thing on the circuit agenda is the single arm swing. So we're gonna do one arm at a time. If you're using a backpack, you're gonna hold on by the top strap here. If you don't have one of those straps on the very top, you can just hold on to both of the shoulder straps. But I prefer the top strap here. And so from here, make sure that you have cleared the area. Do not knock anything over. So from here, I'm going to bend my hips and knees. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing the bag behind me and pop it up to my shoulder. So I'm getting into a little bit of a squat as I'm swinging. Pushing my hips back and pushing them forward, swinging with one arm. And then we're going to do both sides. So make sure you have a weight that's appropriate for both sides. If the weight doesn't feel good, we can get rid of the weight and simply just swing your arm. And then be vigorous with how you bring your arm up and back down. So bring your arm up with force and bring it down with force, particularly down. If you need some balance, you can hold on to something. Just like that. So move it a little quick. And then if you need some balance support, you can always put a chair behind you. Be quick and move fast with this motion. For those of us in sitting, you're gonna grab your backpack by the side or your weight. You're gonna hold it to one side. And the trick here is you gotta make sure you clear the rims of your wheelchair if you're in a wheelchair. So the trajectory is gonna be a little bit diagonal. And you're gonna fling it to the front and then back. Fling it to the front and then back. Fling it to the front and then back. Now, be aware of your surroundings. Don't knock anything over. Also be aware of how much core control you have. If you need to hold on to the side of your chair, hold on to the side of your chair as you do this. Now, if you want to challenge yourself and you have the ability to, let go with the other hand and force your core to really work. All right, and just like with the standing athletes I said before, make sure you pick a weight that feels appropriate for you. All right, any questions on the single arm swings? We good? All right, let's get to it, you guys. We're gonna get into our circuit here, and we're gonna get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So we're starting with that deadlift. You're working on picking the weight off the ground and standing up with it and putting it back down. So make sure that you're keeping as flat a back as possible. Neutral spine is the key here. We're working on hinging down, hips come backwards, and then as you stand up with the weight, hips come forward. Keep your shoulders wide. You'll feel a little stretch in the back of your leg here. If you're doing this in sitting, you're hinging forward, and like I said before, use whatever core control you have. If you can fully get up and down without the use of your arms, do it. If you need a little bit of hand assist to get down and a little bit of arm assist to get up, use it. All right, but work that motion. All right, good. 10 seconds left. Work that deadlift, get moving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next is going to be the floor or table scrubbers. So if you're setting up on a table, you have your towels on that surface. And it could be a table, it could be a bench, it could be whatever you have that's a little bit elevated that you can access from your wheelchair. And then grab both ends and then slide that weight to one side and slide it to the other side. Working on an anti-rotation through your core and while simultaneously challenging your upper body. There we go. And we're doing this both in the sitting position as well as on the ground. Okay. And slide each way. Good. Keep it up. Keep moving. Steady work, side to side. Less than 10 seconds left. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next is the squat rotation or the hinge rotation. So for the squat rotation, squat down deep into your squat, palms on the ground. Stay in the squat as now you rotate, reaching your right arm up towards the ceiling, put it back down on the ground. Now reach your left arm up towards the ceiling, put it back down, stand up, and then repeat. For those of us doing it in the chair, doing the hinge rotations, you're hinging down, support yourself on your lap with your arms or on a stable surface. And from here, rotate up, back down, rotate up with the left arm, and back down. Keep alternating sides. And then come back up, hinge down, rotate up with the right, rotate up with the left, hinge back up, hinge down. Keep it going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Side planks. Take whatever side plank variation you need. If you're going to be doing this in a chair, find your stable surface. And again, remember where that sweet spot was. If it was up close, if it was somewhere further away. And support yourself with that stance arm. Stay engaged with your shoulder. You want to feel your muscles working. If you feel like you're just hanging off your tendons, you're not doing it quite right. You gotta keep everything engaged, push yourself away from that surface. Same thing if you're on the floor. Switch sides. Turn it around. If you were on your left side, go onto your right side. If you're on your right side, go onto your left side. Pick whatever variation of the side plank works for you, whether that be the full side plank on your feet, on your knees, on your hips, or if you're on a bolster. Keep your shoulders rolled back, hips pushed forward to optimize core control. 10 seconds left. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Single arm swings. All right. Grab hold of your backpack or your weight, and then if you're standing, you're doing a little squat and hinge with this, swinging by your side. And if you're in a chair, swinging by your side a little bit more of this diagonal swing, so that you clear your wheel. Good. Keep it going. 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. There we go. Keep it up. Keep moving. Keep swinging. Steady rhythm, steady breathing. That's it. We're working again another anti-rotation through the core. Engaging through the legs and the upper body. 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Take a rest break. A rest for a minute here. All right, how are we doing today? So, does anyone need any extra time on transitions? I know this workout might be a little bit more transition heavy. We doing okay? Good.
Yeah, Adam's on too, it looks like.
All right, so you guys are mastering the transitions then. I like it. That's an essential life skill, getting up and down from the ground. I know that's something I work on with all the time. And it's scary for them and fun for me. All right, so take your time to catch your breath, get a little bit of water. You got about 15 seconds left, so get one more swig, a few more deep breaths. We're gonna do one more round of the circuit, so you should be pretty hot, and then we're gonna stretch it out. All right, so we're gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's work those deadlifts. Hinging forward, and pick that weight up from the ground. Maybe put it in your lap, hinge up, and then put it back down. Weight up in your lap, hinge up, put it back down. Whatever you need to do. If you have the core control, just straight pick it up, do that. You're in standing, make sure you're keeping this flat back as best as you can. Your hips come back, shoulders come forward, and then as you stand up, your hips come forward. Keep your shoulders wide the entire time. Get that little stretch in the back here. All right, looking good. All right, awesome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Floor or table scrubbers. So if you're getting down to the floor, have your towel set up, throw your weight on top of it, and then get on your stomach and scrub side to side. Slide it and slide it. So if you're doing this on the ground, what this is an anti-side bend of your spine. Engaging the core and your upper back muscles. If you're doing the table scrubbers, you have your towel set up on your elevated surface, weight on top, and slide it side to side to engage the abdominals, particularly those obliques. All right, and pull side to side. Ooh, this one's harder because my table has a lot more friction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Transition to your squat rotations or your hinge rotations. If you're doing those hinge rotations and sitting, you're going to hinge forward, prop yourself up on your forearms, and then rotate. I'm rotating my right arm up towards the ceiling, staying engaged through my left arm, and then rotate back down. And now I'm rotating with my left arm up towards the ceiling. Keep staying engaged with my right arm on my lap. And then rotating back down, and then hinge back up. There we go. Keep it going. If you're doing the squat rotation, get deep into your squat. Palms on the ground. Rotate your right arm up towards the sky. Keep your hips down, and then put the palm down. Rotate your left arm up towards the sky. Keep your hips down, palms down. And then stand up, and then do it all again. Keep going. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Side planks. All right. Take whatever version of the side plank you need to. All right. And then prop yourself up and get breathing. Remember, we're trying to breathe through our belly. Keep your hips pushed forward and your shoulders rolled back. And that's going to optimize your core activation. It's going to force your abdominals to work harder to hold you up. You're putting them in a direct line of force between your shoulders and your hips. That's going to be what supports you. Switch sides. All right? And once you're in position, get up and hold. Steady breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Belly rises before your chest. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Single arm swings. All right. Grab your weight and work that swing. Try to keep that hinge as best as you can. Work on pushing the hips back as you bring swing the weight behind you and bring the hips forward as you bring it up to the front. Good. Get some swings in there. Keep breathing. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. Doing this in standing or in sitting. Working that anti-rotation out of your spine. Keep hinging forward. Again, be aware of your surroundings. Don't knock anything over. Get some more swings in. That's it, you guys. Almost there. Home stretch. Less than 10 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. All right. Take a rest break. So now we're done with the circuit, and we're going to go into our stretch mobility round. Now, just because this is stretching doesn't mean that we're not going to be engaged. We are going to be forcing you to hold certain poses and postures. Basically, we're doing a modified yoga class. If you're doing, what's it called? Power yoga, where they do it with weights. Almost that kind of concept. Just without the weights. Take this time, catch your breath. All right, how are we doing? Is everyone hot and sweaty after that little short circuit? Good, so you're really now is a really great time to stretch and work these mobility routines that I got planned for you. Ah, my nose is itchy. All right, so let's take a couple more deep breaths in and out, and then we're gonna get to it. So for those of you who are working out in a chair today, you can just stay in your chair for this one. I believe everything here can be done in a chair. And then for those of us who are standing athletes, you're gonna start on the ground on hands and knees. All right, let's get to it. So first thing that we're gonna work on is a cat-cow. So you're on hands and knees, we call this quadruped. You're going to arch your spine towards the ceiling and look down at your hips. This is cat. An exhale. Inhale into cow. You're going to arch your belly towards the floor and look up at the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. For those of us in sitting, you're going to start with your hands on your knees. Sit up tall to start. We're going to go into our cat first. Exhale. Push your back towards your backrest or away from you. Look down into your lap. And then inhale into cow. Looking up at the ceiling and pushing your belly forward. Roll your shoulders back. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. And we're working on wiggling our spine back and forth, up and down. Gentle inhales and exhales. Keep breathing, keep wiggling. All right. Take a few more passes in that cat-cow. And then next, for our people in the wheelchair, find your stable surface again in front of you. And you put your hands on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be super elevated. It can be down low, wherever your hands need to fit on this. So you can put your hands on that surface. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into a child's pose. So you're going to reach your arms as far forward as you can. Try to push your face and your chest towards the ground. And then slide your arms back up. And then we're going to push up into an up dog. So you're going to push through your hands, push your belly towards that surface, roll back and try to look behind you over your head. Up dog, child's pose, back to up dog. All right? For those of us on the ground, we're going to go into a classic child's pose. You're going to start on hands and knees. You're going to sit your butt back onto your heels and reach your hands forward. Get that stretch into child's pose. And then you're going to push your hips forward. Chest comes down to the ground. And then you peel yourself up into up dog. Let your belly fall towards the ground. Look up at the sky. Come down. Push back into child's pose. And then flow between these positions. All right, flow for a few more reps there. Steady movement. All right. And please let me know if you need any modifications on what we're covering here today. All right. So looks good. I don't hear anyone asking for modifications. Flow for a couple more passes here. And then the next thing we're going to work on is a side child's pose. So you're going to go back into that child's pose, reaching your arms overhead. So if you're sitting here in a chair, your arms are extended, your face and chest are facing towards the ground. And what you're going to do is now you're going to walk your hands out to one side. So I'm walking my hands to the right. Get that stretch in your left lat. And then walk your hands back over to the other side. So now I'm walking over to the left side. And I'm stretching out my right lat. Going back and forth. And simultaneously here, we're working on engaging your core. Keep yourself supported in this suspended position. Going back and forth. For those of us who are on the ground, we're doing that side child's pose. We're in that child's pose position. Sitting back on your heels, arms reaching forward. And then from here, you're going to walk your hands out to the right as far as you can, staying low in that child's pose. And stretch out that left lat. And then you're going to walk your hands back over to the left and stretch out that right lat. Now, important here, do not hold your breath. Breathe the entire time. Good. Reach and stretch. Take a couple more passes each way. All right. And the next thing here is a side angle. For our seated athletes, you're going to take your right arm and you're going to reach it up to the side as far as you can past your head. So I'm reaching out to the left. You might need a little bit of hand support to hold yourself up. And then bring it down and then reach out to the other side. We're going side to side. Really reach and stretch. Pause at the end point and go back and forth. For our standing athletes, you're going to be up on your feet now. Toes come forward. As you take your right arm up overhead, you're going to reach as far as you can. Slide your arm down your leg for a little bit of support. And then going side to side. Reach and stretch. Imagine like you're stuck between two walls here. One in front, one in back. So you're trying to go as flat as possible. Reach through those fingertips. Engage through your core. Good. All right. Next, for our standing athletes, you're already in a bit of a straddle. Take a wider straddle now. So you start to stretch out your groin. And from here, we're going to hinge down to your right, touching your right foot. And then walk your hand over to your left foot. And then hinge on up. So stand, push your hips forward, and continue with that circular pattern. For our seated athletes, you're going to hinge down towards the ground over to your right. And then walk your hands over to the left. And then bring yourself back up and then work that circular pattern. Try to really push your base of support here. See where you start to feel just a little bit uncomfortable with that sitting balance. Figure out where that point is. Don't go past it. I don't want you falling over. But poke it a little bit, just a little bit. All right, and then let's reverse these hinge circles. So now going the other way, reaching down to the left, and then walking your hands over to the right. Seated or standing. Make sure as you hinge up for a standing athlete, you push your hips forward. And for our seated athletes too, if you have a little bit of hip function in your glutes, use that. As you're hinging back up, think about squeezing your butt and pushing your legs into the ground to generate that hinge back upwards. If you have the use of your legs any little bit, use it here. And if you don't worry about it. Use whatever core control you got. All right, one more pass. All right, next thing here, we're gonna work on a half moon pose. And so for our standing athletes, the full half moon, you're going to start in a straddle stance. You're gonna have your right foot pointed forward, left foot pointed out to your side. And then from here, you're gonna weight your left foot, slide your left hand down your leg, slowly start to lift your right foot. And if this is challenging enough, you stay here, pause, breathe, and if you need to come back down, and then ease yourself back into that position. So this is stage one. If you feel comfortable with this, we can now take your right arm, reach it up towards the ceiling. You still have your hand on your knee for a little bit of support. And then that's stage two. Stage three, take your hand off your knee, whoa, and maybe just barely graze the floor with your fingertips. Reach through your foot, pause and breathe. Now, take time. If you have to come out of it, and then get back into it. For our seated athletes, you're gonna find your stable surface out by your side, and then find that spot, reach up to the side, and then figure out where that balance point is. Now, if you're on your forearm, this is gonna be easy. If that's easy, now what you can start to do is find something lower. So here I have my backpack. I'm going to hinge down, put my palm down on the backpack and hold this position, stacking through your stance arm. So I'm stacking through my left arm, reaching my right hand towards the ceiling. If that feels easy, remove that elevated surface and try to hold this position without your hand touching the ground. Next level, so that's stage three for our seated athletes. And then for our standing athletes, you've been working at this, switch sides. Seated athletes, you've been working on it for a little bit, switch sides. This is our challenge balance position for the day. So again, for our standing athletes, to get set here, your left foot points forward, right foot points out to the side, and then you're gonna slide your right hand down your thigh with a little bend in your knee, shift your weight onto your right foot, start to offload your left foot, raise it up, keep your right hand on your knee for balance, raise your left hand up to the ceiling, stage two. Stage three, take your hand off your knee, balance here, oh my God. Breathe, all right, and ease on down. Everyone come on up. All right, so you guys have worked hard. You have all earned some time in Shavasana. So if you can get down to the ground, get down to the ground, lie on your back, face up. If getting onto the ground is not practical for you, you're gonna be in your chair. So our seated Shavasana, you're gonna scoot forward in your chair. You're gonna lean back onto a backrest. If you don't have a backrest, maybe transfer onto a chair that does have one. And then from here, let your arms just dangle by your side. If it feels good, you can put a little pillow underneath the small of your back to support it more. But hang on in this position and let your legs just go. If you don't have control of your legs, don't worry about it. If you do have some control of your legs, make sure that they are fully relaxed here. You're sitting down in a lounge chair. For those of us on the ground, lie down on your back. Legs spread just a little bit. Arms out by your side. For everyone, focus in on that belly breath that we started with today. And then close your eyes. And then slowly allow your hands and your feet to just melt into the floor. Let them go. Next, allow your knees and your elbows to follow your hands and your feet, sinking into the floor. And next, your hips and your shoulders follow everything else into the ground, into your chair. And then allow your spine, your sacrum, your low back, your thoracic spine, your neck and your head, like it's one big log, to let that just sink down. Slowly bring attention back to your fingertips and your toes. Wiggle them. And then start to bend your elbows, your knees. Wiggling it out. And then bring that wiggle into your hips and your shoulders. And then into the rest of your spine. Wiggle, squirm, twist in whatever direction feels good. And then bring yourself up to sit. All right. Good job, you guys. How are we feeling? Good? All right. Who feels nice and stretched? Good. All right. So, like I said, this week, our workouts are going to be lighter on the total amount of training volume. It's not going to be quite as aggressive as I normally am with the programming. Like I said, it's a deload week. This is a time for your body to kind of rest and recuperate, work on that mobility, because I know everyone needs more mobility work, unless you're a contortionist. We're going to do more of this on Wednesday. It's going to be a little bit more of an upper body focus, but we will do lots of stretching like we did today. All right. Does anyone have any questions on what we did today? All right. Good. What felt good about today?
I like the single arm swing.
The stable arms, the hinge rotation?
No, the swing with the weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna do more of those then.
That felt good.
All right. Good.
Half moons.
What?
Not the half moons.
The half moons, not really. You know? All right, but we'll get there. All right, good. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.
Okay.
Bye, thanks.